Hello, welcome to Essence Educational GMAT Plus. Today, we continue to solve mathematical questions in the GMAT. So, this is question number 2. This is a difficult question. It's an 800 level question. The most difficult question you can face in GMAT. Okay, so I'm going to solve this question together again using our 3 strategies. These 3 strategies can solve any GMAT questions. Let's read the question first. Of the 150 houses in a certain development, 60% have air conditioning. 50% have a sun porch and 30% have a swimming pool. Okay, this is talking about certain percentage have a certain property. Okay, like have air conditioning, have a sun porch. Okay, have a swimming pool. So these are always talking about certain objects. Okay, have certain property. 5 of the houses have all these 3 amenities and 5 have none of them. Okay, how many of the houses have exactly 2 of these amenities? So when I read this question, the first thing I do, I want to translate this question into the mathematical language because I hate English words. That's our first strategy, translation. Starting from yesterday in question number 1, you should start to hate English words. The first thing you do to translate into the mathematical language. And here, as these are always talking about certain objects have certain property, it fulfills the definition of a set. Okay, so I am going to use the language of set to translate this question into the mathematical language. So as we know, any set, you start with the platform, the universe. Okay, I used capital Omega to represent it. So the universe means the 150 houses. Okay, so the number of items in our universe are 150, these houses. Okay, if I call set A those who have air conditioning, so to translate this sentence, that means 60%. So number of items in A is 60% of number of items in Omega. That is 60% times 150, which is 90 houses. Okay, let's continue to translate. 50% have sun porch, so I define a new set, those houses with a sun porch. Okay, and therefore the number of items in B is 50% of Omega, which is 75. And then we need to continue to translate. 30% have a swimming pool, so I define C as those houses with a swimming pool, so the number of items in C is 30% Omega, which is equal to 45. Okay, so this is the translation so far. If 5 of the houses have all 3 of these amenities, so how do you translate this sentence? You have 3, all of them. Okay, so it means you have the air conditioning and, okay, so that is how you need to have a very solid basis in mathematics. Okay, in understanding of of this signal, of this notation, the intersection between A and B. This is the official name called intersection. But I would like you guys to memorize this directly using the logical term and, A and B. So it means you have air conditioning and you have sun porch. So you have all of them. So therefore that means you have the swimming pool as well. So it means and you have the swimming pool. The number of items in this set, okay, is equal to 5. And 5 have none of them. How do you translate? Means you don't. This means this is called complement, right? The official name. But I would like you guys to memorize as not. So that means no air conditioning. You do not have air conditioning. And you do not have sun porch. And you do not have swimming pool. The number of houses for this one is also equal to 5. So 5 have none of them. That is the proper translation into the mathematical language. Okay, and the question is asking how many of the houses have exactly 2 of these amenities. So this question, what the question is asking, I call this the purpose. Okay, I find it pretty hard to translate it directly, into the mathematical language. So what should I do? So then one thing I can do is another way of a translation. So these are the old, notation ways. Another way for you to translate using the language of set is by using the Venn diagram, right? By drawing a figure. Drawing a figure is very important way of a translation, okay? coordinate geometry, right? For example, is by using coordinate geometry, you can translate from algebra to geometry, and from geometry to algebra. The same thing here. Venn diagram help us to translate further. Let's draw the Venn diagram. So this is the omega, right? We often use a rectangle to represent the universe. So therefore, you have 150 here, and this is A, this is B, this is C, right? So what this telling you is A and B and C. So the middle part, this part is A and B and C, right? Is equal to 5. And not A and not B and not C means what? So means you have none of them is basically outside this area, right? This area you have 5. So not A and not B and not C. From the chart you already know this is equal to A or B or C, not. Right? If you want, this is called the De Morgan law, okay? But from the chart you can easily find it out. So the question, now let's try to understand the question. How many of the households have exactly 2 of the amenities? Okay? Amenities, sorry. Have exactly 2 of them. So it shouldn't belong to this area, right? You must have 2 of them, but not exactly 2. Means you have 2, not 1, and not 3, right? Which part is that? So that must be this part, right? And this part. And this part. The blue part. Agree? The blue part is actually you have 2 of them, but not 3. The pink part, this part, is you only have 1 of them. Agree? The rest, the green part, you have none of them. Agree? So that is, by using this chart, we can understand this question much better. So now, how do we translate the blue one, okay, into the mathematical language? How do we into the formulas? So this is basically, you see, the first part here is A and B. A and C, but you subtract the middle part, this part, 5, okay? And this part is basically A and B. You subtract the middle part as well. And this one, the third one, okay, is B and C. Then you subtract the middle part as well. So the purpose is, the final purpose is basically, now you see, with the help of a Venn diagram, I can finally translate what you want. The purpose, okay, is equal to A and C plus A and B plus B and C minus 15. That is what we want. Okay? So now, finally, I finish my first step, translation. Then what I do is by using my third strategy, pay attention to the purpose. Problem solving, no matter it's mathematics or not, we very often start from the purpose. Okay, we start from what we want. Start from the goal. Okay, in Chinese we call that 有的放矢. 有的放矢. Okay, so in English that means if you want to shoot, okay, you must find out your target first. Agree? So we often, in problem solving, we start with the purpose. We start with the purpose, we do 2 things. First, we try to link it with the known. Second, we try to think of some of the theorems, definitions, okay, methods we have learned. So this is also the approach of recalling the knowledge we have. So here, when you look at this formula, okay, A and B, A and C, B and C, okay, you link it with what you know. What you know is A and B and C, is A, B, C. Which theorem can you think of? Immediately you should think of the theorem in set, right? That is the number of items in A or B or C is equal to A plus B plus C, the single one, add them together, subtract A and B, A and C, B and C. Okay? Then you add back A and B and C. So first, if I solve this part, you see this part the same. Okay? I solve this question. This is my new purpose. Agree? So do we know A? Of course. We already did the translation, 90. Do we know B? Yes, 75. Do we know C? Yes, 45. Do we know A or B or C? We don't know A or B or C, but we know not A or B or C is equal to 5. So therefore, A or B or C is equal to 150 omega minus 5. That is what? That is 145. You see? Here we are. So this one we also know, 145. Do we know A and B and C? Yes, we know A and B and C. What is that? A and B and C is equal to 5. You see, after the translation, we can easily link all the known together. And therefore, you see, if I call this x, this is just a linear equation with only one variable. Afterwards, it's a no-brainer process. Agree? So therefore, x is equal to what? So 90 plus 75 plus 45. So 90 plus 75 plus 45 plus 5 minus 145. Okay, 45 here is gone. Okay, 90 minus 100 minus 10. So here is 80. 80 minus 10 is equal to what? 70. Agree? So x is equal to 70. So finally, we come back to our purpose. What we want is basically 70 minus 15, which will give me 55. Okay? The answer, therefore, should be 55. And the right answer for this question should be D. Get it? So that's how you arrive at the answer. So, of course, I need to explain to you the thinking process behind, right? In reality, you do this question, probably you can finish in 2 to 3 minutes. You can finish. Some students ask me, hey, on average, you have 2 minutes per question for the GMAT Math. How can you use 3 minutes? Of course you can. Always remember, those who can get a high score in any exam, including GMAT, are those who can solve easy questions quickly and correctly. Then you save your time for the difficult ones like this. Agree? So normally for the majority of the GMAT questions, you don't need 2 minutes. 1 minute is enough for you to solve them. Then you save your time for difficult questions like this. Get it? Okay? Thank you for today. A question. See you.